Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Welcome to everyone. Our joint accessibility meeting. Today is July the 9th. We're a few minutes late, 3:35 or so. First item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review it? If so, I'll entertain the motion to adopt it. Mover and seconder, moved by Todd, seconded by Jen. Thank you. Do we need to call the voter? We can just, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Next item is adoption of our minutes from way back November. Again, people have had a chance to review them and there's no errors or omissions or corrections. Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Jen, second by Todd. Okay. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you. I will remind everyone of disclosure of pecuniary interest, the general nature thereof. And I'm not seeing anyone, so we'll declare that there are none. Assuming we have no delegations. All right, we'll go on to reports and briefings. And I see there's a verbal from Legislative Services Coordinator, Accessibility Open House Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jen, can you, oh, it is my mic. Okay. All right, I'll move over here for this report. All right, so sorry, I'll start that again. I'm delivering this report on behalf of our Legislative Services Coordinator, Stephanie Hyde, who attended the Accessibility Open House on June 1st, which was a joint initiative with the City of St. Thomas's Accessibility Committee. It was a successful event. We moved it this year to, was it at the Timken Center or the Memorial? It was at the, oh, Joe Thornton, sorry. You know, old habits die hard. So it was at the Joe Thornton Arena, and it was on a Saturday in June. And often we had it previously on a weekday in September. So this year it was moved to June to coincide with Accessibility Week. It was a successful event, and the people that attended would say that it went very well. We had 17 vendors, and for attendees from the public, we had gift bags to give out to at the door, as well as free drink tickets for the first 100 attendees to receive a free non-alcoholic beverage from the concession at the arena. 50 gift bags were given out, but this isn't exactly representative of the number of attendees because often a group came together and only took one gift bag. But 39 ballots were received for door prizes they gave feedback, and 83 drink tickets were given out. So that's a bit of an indication about the attendance. And like I said, last year's was in the fall on a weekday and were different hours and at a different location. So last year it was at the Memorial Arena. This year it was at the Joe Thornton. So one of the takeaways from the vendors and the attendees was that the new venue worked very well, but the fall season is preferred as late spring and summer people tend to be busier with outdoor activities, and there are lots of other outdoor events happening at the same time that compete. There were a couple of parades going on in the city of St. Thomas. Edison Fest was going on in Bayham, and June just tends to be a busier month, and Saturdays are quite busy. So it was kind of a consensus from the feedback that we received that fall might be a better time for more people and more vendors to be able to attend the indoor event. And vendors also have more availability to send their staff on a weekday. So it's anticipated that next year it will be on a weekday once again instead of a weekend, and anticipate changing the hours again to better suit the vendor availability and make the open house accessible for both the public and seniors who have better daytime availability than those who have better availability after working hours. 5 different vendor showcases. So previous years we had entertainment. This year there was a bit of a change in format, and they opted for 5 different vendor showcases that were provided throughout the event. So select vendors did short presentations. They had a time slot, and they made the presentation about their services to anyone who was there at the time to watch. And the audio, visual, and tech worked much better at this location than the previous location. So all in all, a successful event, some lessons learned, and perhaps for 2025, it will be back during the fall. And I'm sure that we will be asked again to coordinate with the City of St. Thomas. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to attempt to answer them.
Thank you, Catherine. Open the floor to any questions or comments. Go ahead, Todd.
It was a good event. I really enjoyed it. And Catherine and I talked about it earlier today, that if we maybe were able to schedule it around some of those vendors that have different events, that would be kind of cool, like the sledge racing or the other one that I'm not remembering what the name of it was, but it was the electric chairs, and they kind of play with the ball. So that was kind of neat. If we had an event that was kind of scheduled around that, it'd be a little bit more attended possibly.
All right, thank you, Todd. Comments from Jen?
I know we talked about trying to bring in as many parasports as possible. TVCC ran a really great event in May, a parasport triad event, where I think, Todd, you're referring to Volt Hockey. They were there. But I think looking to as many parasport events as parasports that are in the area, because there's quite a few, to see if we can bring in more. The problem with the weekday is often they're run by volunteers for the parasport, so they'd have to take off time usually to come. But just something to consider. I do love the idea of as many parasports in there as possible, but then recognizing that maybe the demographic we're targeting isn't necessarily a primary focus on seniors. We're looking to the youth as well, to really bring in the youth with disability for the parasport piece.
Thank you, Jen. I guess I remember, seemed like the hot weather comes so early in June. You know, there's so many other options going on, but I think a weekday Saturdays seem to be so busy for so many. So I would like to see it go back to a regular, probably for the working people. You know, it's a work day for them on Saturday, makes their weekend real short. Any other comments? All right, they'll be noted. Nothing else, we'll move on. I think we have a motion I'd like to read. Catherine, please.
Thank you. Resolved that the verbal report titled Accessibility Open House from the Manager of Administrative Services, Deputy Clerk, be received for information.
Do I have a mover and seconder? Moved by Todd, second by Jen. Thank you. I'll ask all in favor. That carries. Thank you. We will move on to Director of Human Resources, introduction of Human Resources Manager. Amy, go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the committee. I'm excited today to welcome Emily Waldick to our Human Resources team here at the county. And Emily will be taking over the leadership of the accessibility function, as well as the diversity, equity, and inclusion function for the county and all local municipalities, and will also be assisting with labor relations facilities. So a busy combined role that we're grateful Emily's stepping into. And welcome to the team. Emily will be taking leadership or supporting the committee as well. You want to say a few words?
I'll just say, I'll just say hello, and I'm excited to work with the committee and support the committee.
I will formally welcome you on behalf of the committee members, Emily. Elgin's a pretty good place, so welcome aboard. All right, thank you for that. Do we have a motion for that? Just update, okay. Well, it's nice to have good news, so. We'll move on to 6.3. My bifocals are working. Manager Administrative Services, Deputy Clerk updates to Joint Accessibility Advisory Committees, term of reference. Please. please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This report that was in your agenda package is seeking approval for several changes to the committee's terms of reference, after which are considered by the committee will need to then go on to County Council for formal approval. There are really two primary changes. The one is that the terms of reference do make reference several times to an accessibility coordinator. And we do not have that role currently at the county. It's not filled. Currently, that will be now filled by the manager of human resources. So we thought that the terms of reference could be more generic and could just indicate that this role will be filled by the Human Resources Department. And similar to the secretarial role, which is filled by the Administrative Services Department. So the kind of the coordinating of the committee will be Human Resources, and then coordinating of the administration and the meeting, secretarial support will be Administrative Services. And then the main change is that currently our terms of reference indicate that we are required to meet 4 times a year. This is not required in the AODA legislation. There actually isn't guidance in the legislation regarding how many times we need to meet, just that we do need to meet. So we suggest that we take that down to 2 required meetings a year. And then, of course, with as many meetings as we would need if issues were to arise that the committee needs to consult on. So different construction projects, accessibility projects of our local municipalities, municipality of Central Elgin, or the county that want committee input. Or if there are policies and procedures that come out of the Human Resources Department that are related to accessibility that the committee needs to consult on, then we could call extra meetings, but it wouldn't tie our hands to hold meetings where we maybe were struggling to find content. So the staff suggestion was to bring that down to twice a year to ensure that we are still meeting regularly as a committee, that we meet to update the annual report and to approve the annual report on accessibility before it goes to County Council, but not to tie our hands to hold meetings that might be difficult to have something to discuss if there is nothing before the committee from our local municipalities. I'd be happy to answer any questions or to allow for discussion. Thank you.
Do we have any comments or Catherine questions? When I first read the email, you know, this is a very important committee, certainly to me. And we wouldn't be here if it wasn't. We have a very good staff. We're making progress. So I'm fine with that. You know, thought about it for a week, and yeah, I'm satisfied with it. And if there is an issue, we'll call a meeting very quick and deal with it. So I'm good with this. There's no sense having a meeting, just have a meeting. But you know, there are issues, we need to deal with them because it's very important. So, other comments? We're good with the report? We're gonna need a motion. Okay, please read the.
Resolved that the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee approve the proposed changes to the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee terms of reference, and that the updated terms of reference be brought to Central Elgin Council and Elgin County Council for their consideration.
All in favor? That is carried, thank you. All right, we'll move on to Manager of Administrative Services Deputy Clerk, Administration Building Elevator Project Completion. Please go ahead. That's nice news.
It's very good news. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the committee, I'm providing an update on behalf of our Director of Engineering Services and our facilities staff regarding the Elgin County Elevator Construction Project. This began back in 2005 when AODA was introduced with the goal of having a completely accessible Ontario by the year 2025. The county administration building was built back in 1939, and the way that the floor levels were designed provided accessibility obstacles between the exterior ground elevation, the first floor, and then the multiple levels within the first floor. So if anyone has not been to the building who might be watching online, or Jen, I'm not sure, maybe you've been here before, but our first floor has an interesting sort of sunken in area where we are currently in the council chambers, and then in the wings on the sides, there are a few stairs up. So previously, the elevator came in from outside and opened at the top of those wings. So for someone who needed to use the elevator for accessibility to come down into this sunken area, they couldn't do that. The elevator didn't open on this lower level. So that was part of the project. Our new elevators have provided now, they provide unencumbered access by today's standards to both sections of the first floor as well as all the other floors on the county. We were also required to provide larger passenger cars. The previous elevators were quite small. And current accessibility controls and the ability to stop at each level throughout the administration building to serve the public, staff, and tenants. So this project has been ongoing for several years. And both elevators in both south and north section of the building have now been commissioned and are in use. And the existing elevator shafts are currently in the process of being decommissioned with the expected completion of the project by September of 2024. So this is very exciting news. We've been waiting for this for a while, and we're very, very pleased that these new accessible elevators are now complete. I'd be happy to answer any questions or take those questions back to our facility staff. Thank you.
Questions, comments? It's a fabulous accomplishment. So many times I watch people limp in the north end to pay their bills, taxes and things, and it was a struggle for a lot of people. And, you know, this has been quite the journey. Like literally 6 years ago, this was being talked about. COVID got in the way, and but finally it's here, you know, all this chambers and outside, and it's just a fabulous job. And the elevators are, you know, the next 50, 60 years are going to be well received. And I guess we have probably done enough talk about it so the public are becoming aware, because it's, you know, it is important that they know that, because yeah, this was some terrible, terrible ability to get into over the years. So this is really, really good news. And we need a motion for this too. Okay. Looking for a mover. Todd, second by Jen, I bet. Thank you. All in favor? Passes. Very good news. All right. Next, 6.5, Manager Administrative Services, Deputy Clerk, Member Recruitment. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just a bit of a verbal discussion that I would like the committee to undertake. Our terms of reference do state that we have 5 members, and currently we only have 4 members. So I was just wondering if the committee would like for us to engage in a recruitment process, doing a bit of promotion online, talking to some of our local municipal partners, and trying to get the word out there that we are looking for a 5th member. So I'm happy to open this up to discussion for the committee and to see if the committee has any recruitment suggestions, or if there's anyone that the committee members might have in mind that might be interested in becoming a part of our committee.
Almost since the inception of this committee, and that goes back to 2000 or so, and we've struggled to get. We've had some excellent people serve on this committee, but we're always looking for good people. So yes, I don't know how we'd go about it, but put the word out to our lower tier and upper tier and Facebook, etc. I'm not going to tell you guys how to do it, but I think for sure we need someone. Is there a limit to what we can have?
I do think the terms of reference say that we need to have at least 5. I'd have to take a quick look and see if we're permitted to have more than 5, but I think we are.
Comments, Todd, Jen? Well, you know, we've all taken time to be here today, and if, say, I had a flat tire in the way in or whatever, boom, then you're fighting quorum, and then you're wasting a lot of resources. So it's kind of nice to have a couple of extras so you don't worry about that. Because we've had that, you end up having, you know, an information session, and it's just a waste of resources.
Yeah,
So
I agree. Sorry, not to interject you. I agree. I think we do need a few more members. It would be um, beneficial perhaps to have people with lived experience on the committee as well. Would be something that might be very beneficial to have voice and some autonomy in the conversation. I think, yeah, perhaps I think maybe we could be a bit creative with how we're looking for that recruitment, looking to local organizations that might service those who would benefit. I mean, we all benefit from accessibility, but looking for those with lived experience, maybe we could look to different organizations for recruiting, maybe be a bit creative with it to see if we can find somebody with lived experience for the committee as well.
I couldn't agree more. You know, we've had probably pretty good representation here through the center of the county. It'd be nice to get someone maybe from the far ends. It is a big county and so I think we're in agreement. We do need another member, potentially more than one. I don't think we need to beat that to death, so we need to read the motion, please.
Resolved that staff be directed to advertise for the recruitment of additional members for the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee.
Moved by Jen, second by Todd. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Other business. Do we have any new business? Old business? Not seeing any correspondence? No need to go into closed session. How about the next meeting? Call of the chair, or do we have it scheduled, or?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this point, I think we can put at the call of the chair, but can generally say that would be best to meet sometime in the fall, probably maybe late October or early November, because I do believe we usually do an annual accessibility update to council. So that report will probably be in draft form at that point, and the committee will need to review that. Otherwise, if any accessibility consultation issue comes up, or if we do receive applications for committee members, then we may want to meet earlier than that fall date. But at this point, I would say we don't set a specific date, just keep in mind that we should meet at least by the beginning of November if we haven't met before that.
All right, I think we're all heads nodding in agreement to that. Good. Last item I have here is adjournment. Moved by Todd, second by Jan. All in favor? Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank everyone for your participation today. I think some good news.